Hello everyone, you are on the channel The Middle Ages. When we think of the Middle Ages, our minds often jump to knights in shining armor, grand castles and epic battles. But what about the everyday people, the skilled hands and creative minds that built that world from the ground up? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the lives of medieval artisans, the unsung heroes who forged, carved, wove and painted the very fabric of medieval society. From the clanging hammer of the blacksmith to the delicate brush of the manuscript illuminator, these craftsmen were the backbone of their communities. Their workshops weren't just places of business, they were hubs of innovation, tradition, and artistry. So grab your tools and let's step into the bustling, noisy, and absolutely fascinating world of the medieval artisan. First, let's talk about the foundation of any medieval town or castle, the stonemason. These weren't just laborers piling rocks on top of each other. Stonemasons were highly skilled architects and engineers of their time. They understood geometry, physics, and the very nature of the stone they worked with. Imagine the patience and precision it took to carve a single block of stone to fit perfectly into a soaring cathedral wall or a complex vaulted ceiling. They used tools like mallets, chisels, and plumb lines, many of which wouldn't look out of place in a workshop today. Their marks, tiny personal symbols carved into the stones, can still be found on medieval buildings across Europe, a lasting signature of their incredible contribution. They spent years as apprentices, learning the trade from a master, and their work has literally stood the test of time for centuries. Next, let's step into the heat of the forge and meet the blacksmith. The rhythmic clang of hammer on anvil was the heartbeat of any medieval village. The blacksmith was arguably one of the most vital artisans. He made everything. Need a new plow to till your fields? See the blacksmith. Your horse needs new shoes? Blacksmith. Need nails to build your house? Hinges for your door? A cooking pot for your hearth? You guessed it, the blacksmith. And of course, in times of war, they forged the swords, arrowheads, and armor that decided the fate of kingdoms. It was a physically demanding and dangerous job, working with fire and molten metal. A master blacksmith had an almost magical understanding of how to heat, hammer, and shape iron into tools of creation or weapons of destruction. Their skill was a blend of brute force and delicate control. Now let's move from iron to wood and visit the carpenter and the wood carver. Wood was a universal material in the Middle Ages, used for everything from the timber frames of houses to furniture, barrels, carts, and ships. The carpenter was a master of construction, measuring and joining massive beams to create the structures people lived and worked in. They had to be precise, ensuring everything fit together snugly. Then you had the wood carver, who brought the wood to life. They were the artists who adorned churches with intricate choir stalls, carved detailed scenes onto wooden chests, and created the beautiful sculptures that decorated both sacred and secular buildings. They could turn a simple block of oak or walnut into a storytelling masterpiece, capturing expressions and textures with just a chisel and a gouge. Their work added beauty and character to a world built of stone and timber. Let's step into a quieter, more colorful workshop, that of the weaver and the dyer. Textiles were a massive industry in the Middle Ages, a sign of wealth and status. Wool was the most common material, but linen, and for the very wealthy, silk, were also used. Weavers, often women, worked at large wooden looms, meticulously passing the shuttle back and forth to create cloth. It was a repetitive but highly skilled process. The patterns they could weave into the fabric were often complex and beautiful. Then came the dyers, who transformed the plain cloth into a rainbow of colors using natural sources. Madder root for red, woad for blue, and weld for yellow. Getting a deep, vibrant, and lasting color was a closely guarded secret. A rich, deep red or a brilliant blue was a luxury item, and the quality of your clothes said a lot about who you were in society. From the loom, we moved to the needle. The tailor and the embroiderer took the finished cloth and turned it into fashion. A tailor wasn't just sewing seams, they were sculpting fabric to the human body. As the medieval period progressed, clothing became more fitted and complex, requiring incredible skill to cut and shape the cloth correctly. For the wealthy, this was where the embroiderer came in. Using threads of silk, gold, and silver, they would stitch elaborate designs onto garments and tapestries. These were not just decorations, they were stories, symbols of power, and displays of immense wealth. An embroidered tunic or cloak was a work of art, taking hundreds, if not thousands, of hours to complete. It was a craft that required immense patience, a steady hand, and an artist's eye for color and design. And what about the words and images that carried knowledge and faith through the ages? For that, we turn to the manuscript Illuminator. Before the printing press, every book was copied by hand, a painstaking task usually done by monks in a scriptorium. But it was the illuminator who made these books treasures. They were the artists who decorated the pages with vibrant paintings, intricate borders, and glorious initial letters, often using gold leaf that would shimmer in the candlelight. They worked on vellum or parchment, using pigments made from ground minerals, plants, and insects. Each page was a masterpiece of miniature art, designed to glorify the text and inspire the reader. Their work preserved not only religious texts and classical knowledge, but also gave us some of the most vivid and beautiful depictions of medieval life. Of course, this is just a glimpse. The medieval world was filled with countless other artisans. The potter, shaping clay into essential jugs and bowls. The tanner, turning animal hides into leather through a smelly and laborious process. The glassmaker, creating stained glass windows that turned cathedrals into kaleidoscopes of light. The chandler, making candles to light up the dark nights. Each artisan had their own unique set of skills, tools, and traditions. They were organized into guilds, which acted like a combination of a trade union and a quality control agency. Guilds set standards for workmanship, regulated prices, and supported members and their families. To become a master craftsman, you had to progress from apprentice to journeyman, a journey that could take over a decade of hard work and dedication. These artisans were the engine of the medieval economy and the creators of its culture. Their work wasn't just functional, it was imbued with a sense of pride, artistry, and tradition. They built the world we now study, and their legacy is all around us, in the cathedrals that still stand, the artifacts in our museums, and the techniques that have been passed down through generations. They remind us that history is not just about kings and queens, but about the skilled and hard-working people who shaped their world with their own two hands. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the workshops of the Middle Ages. I hope it's given you a new appreciation for the incredible skill and artistry of these medieval craftsmen. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the Middle Ages for more deep dives into this fascinating period. Let me know in the comments which artisan you find the most interesting. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.